Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle. Yes, that's Sharron Angle. And yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or CCRS Network. Please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Sharron, we have been talking about what I consider a huge win, not just in the state of California, but possibly all across the country, and an agreement between the County of Los Angeles and the Election Integrity Project and Judicial Watch for the County of Los Angeles to scrub its voter registration list, maybe taking 1.5 million dead or unused voters off the rolls. And we have with us the lady who is the pivot in getting this done. Please make that introduction.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Linda Paine, who's president of the Election Integrity Project and president and co-founder with Ruth Weiss of Election Integrity Project California, a 501c3. Linda co-founded the Tea Party in Santa Clarita, California, and in December of 2010, she co-founded the Election Integrity Project. Since the Election Integrity Project was founded, volunteers have diligently researched voter rolls and have trained approximately 9,000 volunteers across the state to observe polling locations and report their observations. EIP California retained Judicial Watch as its lawyer, resulting in a win for the people of California and for America. Welcome
Amen
to Conservative Commandos radio show, Linda Paine.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very excited to be on the show and share with you whatever you'd like to hear. There's so many details, so I'll try to keep it tight for you.
Well, we know that Judicial Watch didn't have a case without the grassroots efforts of Election Integrity Project there in California. Talk a little bit about Election Integrity Project and why you have one in California, how this is a national group and your state chapter. Just talk about the formation of it and what you do.
Okay. Well, we actually run two companies. In 2010, we actually formed the Election Integrity Project. We were the first to use the name, and we're excited that we're actually trademarking the name. Judicial Watch has an arm also called Election Integrity Project, so it does confuse people, and that's why it took just a second to clarify that. We worked under the for-profit for about 6 years because at the time the IRS was not giving nonprofit status to conservative-type organizations like ours. And we're not conservative, we're nonpartisan, but we knew from what our attorney said back then, we likely would not. So we began the work as a C corporation, and we did 6 years of a tremendous amount of documentation, all volunteer. We ran the data county by county and in the state and provided critical information to registrars, the Secretary of State, Department of Justice. We even had a civil rights hearing. Nothing was done to fix the problem. And so after the 2016 election, we documented so much corruption and fraud and even criminal activity in the polls that we decided to start publishing our data research. And it was that drew the attention of Judicial Watch, because our data team, who is amazing and worked countless hours, think outside the box and have figured out how to run queries to actually get to the bottom of how this is happening. We put out a press release that basically showed that California has 3 to 4 million, about 3 to 4 million wow. inactive registrants on the statewide voter rolls, and over 1 million in the LA County voter rolls. And so once they called, they said, this is serious, and they asked if we would consider being their main plaintiff. They found 4 additional citizens who said they would also be a plaintiff to show that citizens are also being harmed, and that's how we went forward.
Wow. Well, it's not just LA County. Talk about the other counties that you've uncovered, and does this make a difference in elections? Could this change elections and the whole complexion of the state of California? We want to know, is Reagan coming back? Are the Reagan conservatives still there?
Well, absolutely. It makes a huge difference, and that has been our concern from the very beginning. We formed the nonprofit Election Integrity Project California in order to take part in this lawsuit. And what we provided was solid documentation that for instance, 1.5 million inactives in LA County, they are people who have died, people who have moved, they are duplicated voters, they are non-citizens, I mean, you name it. They are people who are not eligible to vote. And LA County alone has approximately 485,000 on that list that are ineligible. We learned that LA County and the state of California has not removed even one inactive for 20 years, and that's why they're so bloated. We have identified in 2014 and 16 that people began telling us they were not receiving their vote-by-mail ballots. They somehow disappeared, and so they were forced to vote with a provisional ballot. This was so big in 2018 that LA County had an approximately 400,000% increase of provisional ballots because so many people registered as vote-by-mail voters did not get them, and then regular voters were changed without knowledge or permission to vote by mail, and they did not get it. Our concern finally showed up in 2018 that those missing ballots were being voted by someone, and sure enough, we have documentation from citizens who did not get the vote-by-mail ballot, went to the polls to vote provisionally, and were told their vote-by-mail had already been processed. So our concern now taps right into the ballot harvesting law, which we opposed because it destroyed integrity in the process. We're concerned that the tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands across the state of missing vote-by-mail ballots may likely have been harvested by someone and voted. So this is why inactive voters can still end up voting because they're on the list. All one has to do is send a vote-by-mail ballot to a name that's on the inactive list, send it to a post office box, and have someone pick it up and put it in the mail. And that's how easy it is to activate an inactive voter. And that's, again, the law that was passed with the ballot harvesting. I think it was passed, is my opinion. I'll just say that. We have been providing documentation of our concern of this pattern since 2014. And we know it's happening because the managers and owners of mailbox stores have contacted us to ask what to do with the 50 vote-by-mails that were left in box number what.
Oh, my gosh.
Or another. So they know that there should only be, if someone didn't vote, it should have been an individual or a family at the most. But 50 and another owner had 100. So that is, we suspected at the time they could possibly be inactives that were activated and held in the post office box until they determined they were needed. And then that is where they were harvesting those ballots and then putting them in the mail. So we're going to dig deeper into the ballot harvesting. We think that should be repealed, and we think every state in the union should prohibit a ballot harvesting law from being enacted.
Well, thank you for explaining that, because we couldn't figure out why there was such a rush here in Nevada to get everybody who could vote to vote and making sure that those ballots were cast. We were getting people walking door to door and everyone was saying this is really uncommon. And it was 10-4, Democrats to Republicans. The Democrats were really into this, as you say, ballot harvesting. They were going after those votes, and it's amazing to me that they're allowed to get away with this. Can we turn elections around? Can you take those that were ineligible to vote, that actually voted, and ask for a re-election, a redo on the elections in California, especially there in LA County?
Well, we've actually asked that question because it is our concern that so many races of candidates who were winning by large percentage and large numbers of votes, even Arizona, the Secretary of State candidate here was winning by 44,000 votes until all the new vote-by-mail ballots came in, and then he lost. It's exactly the same pattern. But we know we have to fix it in California, because it will trickle across the state if we can prove it. What we're attempting to do now, we have 2,000 reports signed under penalty of perjury that from our observers, from witnesses whom our observers spoke with, and now from citizens coming to the website and filling out a citizen incident statement telling us what's going on. So many are describing the same pattern. So we would like to do a deep audit of every ballot that was put into an envelope. So if you've got a vote by mail ballot and a corresponding provisional ballot, we want to audit those signatures. We want the citizen to tell us which one is theirs. And then we'd also like to audit the sign-in sheet, because we'd like to know if someone impersonated a voter and signed in to vote. We had a huge number, thousands, that were coming in and just simply saying, I want a provisional ballot. And that's highly suspicious. And then the fourth thing that we're going to look at, the vote by mail, the provisional, and then the ballots that were used for same-day registration and voting, and then, of course, the ballots that have to be remade. Our teams documented in the ballot processing that machines were not working, and they were crushing and bending and mangling the vote by mail envelopes. When that happens, that ballot has to be taken out of the envelope and remade. That means that two people sit side by side. One person reads the voter's intentions, and the other is supposed to mark them exactly as they hear them onto a new ballot. We've identified since 2014 that doesn't always happen. And so they are stapled together. They have to be stored and kept, and we'd like to audit those to make sure that every voter's intentions were transferred to the new ballot exactly as they intended.
Well, we're now on television in Northern California, and many of the places where you are going to be going this month, San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Wine Country, Redding, Chico, Sacramento, and Monterey. Those are the places where you can hear Conservative Commandos. And I'm going to shout out to our listeners there. Please go to Linda's website and report any anomalies that you saw during the last election. This group is just a group of volunteers, aren't they, Linda? And could you give us your website before we go to this break?
It's www.eip-ca.com. And there are several options for telling us your story. You can click on the survey and answer the questions. You can click on Contact EIP-CA, or there's a citizen incident statement in a PDF format for both the primary and the general election. You can download that, fill it out, and then mail it to our office in northern LA County.
Well, this is so important. We want you to stay through for the next segment with Rick. Linda, I'm going to identify and we'll be right back. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And also, we can be seen on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with our co-host, Rick Trader. I'm Sharron Angle, and our guest, Linda Paine with the Election Integrity Project.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast of our shows, check out our websites, CCRShow.com. You can hear our radio show there and watch our television show at ConservativeCommandosRadioshow.com. Our guest this segment is Linda Paine. She's the president of the Election Integrity Project, and the state of California and the county of Los Angeles they have agreed to start removing from the voter registration rolls as many as 1.5 million inactive registered voter names. And I think this is great news, not only for Los Angeles County in California, but I think this is great news for all of the United States. Hey, Linda, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time, and we really appreciate the efforts that you and the Election Integrity Project of California has taken on. I really do think this is great news for all of America.
Thank you, and so do we. I'd like to brag just 2 seconds on our data team. They
Sure.
work so often at their computers and nobody hears their name. But our programmer is Carl. Our chief analyst is Ellen, and Ellen Swenson actually does speaking for us and can go deeper into the actual data work and what the reports look like. But without them, we would not have uncovered the depth and breadth of what we have and what we provided for this lawsuit. Judicial Watch tells us that this was the strongest NBRA case in the country.
Wow.
And I believe it is because of the incredible documentation that we provided for the case.
Well, you know, Linda, listening to you, I'll tell you what goes through my mind, and it's gone through my mind a lot the last few years. The system is broken. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, the system is broken. I mean, this is proof positive that our elections are not fair, they are not honest, and they are corrupt. And I think if we have any right in this country, it should be the right to have fair and honest elections. Linda, of this possibly 1.5 million on the voter registration that are inactive voters, do you have any idea how many of these inactive voters there was actual votes cast for?
Oh, that's a research project we're starting to work on now. Because we purchase the data on a regular basis, we can go back to even a year ago and see what the snapshot was of who were on the inactive list. Then we can match that against the data that we bought just before the elections and see were any of them all of a sudden activated.
Right.
We wouldn't be concerned about someone who was activated after not voting for a year or 2 or 3 or 4, but someone who's not been voting for 20 years that was already activated would be of great concern, and that does appear to be what transpired with ballot harvesting. A huge number of what would be considered very low propensity voters all of a sudden voted. We just purchased, we're in the process right now of purchasing new data for the state and the counties, all of the southern counties, and we're going to check the inactives on that list, and that will at least give us a starting point to identify if, in fact, long-lasting inactives were all of a sudden activated. From there, we can then dig deeper. Were they on the deceased? Did they move? There's just a lot of questions that we can ask and we can dig into to find out what happened.
Linda, what is it going to take to stop this voter fraud? Is it going to take heavy prosecutions of people that vote fraudulently and people that push these people to vote fraudulently? Do we need prosecutions here?
I don't think that's going to happen because the real problem is the federal laws. The National Voter Registration Act and the Help America Vote Act were passed during a time in our history when, number one, organized manipulation of the vote process was not really looked at, and non-citizens, both legal and illegal, really did not get driver's license to the degree they are now. So something has changed in the fabric of our country in which more and more people are willing to organize an effort to do whatever it takes to get their candidate across the finish line. We have to go to Congress and change, they have to change the federal laws, because the federal laws actually open loopholes for the states to use. And that's what California has done, is use legislation to destroy integrity in every aspect of California's election system. And then, of course, those who are willing to cheat and manipulate the system walk right through those doors and do exactly that.
Linda, I'm reading statistics here. The entire state of California has a registration rate of about 101% of its age-eligible citizenry, and that 11 of California's 58 states have registration rates exceeding 100% of the age-eligible citizenry. You guys got a big job out there in California. Where are you going to go next?
We have already begun a mentoring program in states where they're interested, and Arizona is now working on it. We're trying to help them shortcut a little bit of the learning curve that we had. There's a national call that we have every other week with the other states who at least are researching the data. And right now, of the states that are on that call, we would like to call a national town hall and a rally on the steps in D.C., demanding that Congress fix the federal laws and that the states and the citizens have a right to know that they have a fair and honest election, that non-citizens and ineligible people are not voting, and that the entire process can be like California and Nevada, and I believe Texas, where we can oversee and ensure that it's fair and honest.
Linda, this national call, how can people get involved in this?
Well, we're going to begin talking about it in California first, which Ruth and I will be starting on Thursday, in fact, driving through the state, meeting with citizen groups all through the end of the month. We will start from San Diego and go all the way to the Siskiyou County. We're going to lay out our vision for becoming visible. The silent majority is also the invisible majority, and we have to become visible and demand it. So if Californians can help to pull it together to get there in D.C., we're also going to then be able to say that to the other states. If they go, we will be there in force. And that has to happen. Californians have fought this for now going on 9 years, and the rest of the country thinks that Californians are voting to destroy their own state. So if they're visible, we'll pull it forward. We'll get the word out to organizations like you. The mainstream media will not cover this. We need to speak with people like you. So it's going to be a citizen grassroots effort to launch this.
Linda Paine, Election Integrity Project of California. Man, I think the work that you're doing, Linda, is terrific. Please tell our audience how they can find out more about the Election Integrity Project and how they can help you.
The best way to do it, we're going to make our website a hub of information, and that will make it easy for people to go there and learn, or to sign up to volunteer, or to donate. We would like to expand our data research. We struggle, and we like to help people. We ask people to help us with branding. People are very confused with Judicial Watch's Election Integrity Project, and many donate to Judicial Watch because they didn't mention us in their press releases.
Right.
So that's one thing we can ask people to do is use the new nonprofit name instead of Election Integrity Project. We have trademarked that name, but we are functioning under Election Integrity Project California.
Okay.
So that would be the way. Go to the website, and we can go from there.
And give me that website address one more time.
It's www.EIP-CA.com.
Linda Paine, I want to thank you so much for joining us on Conservative Commandos. And more importantly, I want to thank you for what you do, because you prove that one person can really make a difference in our great country. Linda Paine, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Hartman, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
allegations of voter fraud. The claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
Saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time. It's too late time.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle. I'm here with our next guest, Dennis Prager, who is a patriot, a philosopher, and an educator. You all know him from Prager University. Welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show, Dennis Prager.
Thank you. Welcome to Washington. Where are you based?
Well, we're a national show.
I know. Where are you based?
Our producer is in New Jersey. I'm out in Nevada. We have co-hosts from Indiana, South Carolina,
Really? Oh, wow.
New York.
Well, you yourself are in Nevada?
I am.
Great to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, in California.
Smart Californians move to your state.
No, we have to start this over.
Smart Californians move to your state.
They have been. Lots of refugees.
Unfortunately, then they ruin it. That's what they've done to Arizona, like New Yorkers did to Florida. They turned them leftward, even though they left-wing policies. They don't put two and two together. Why did I leave the state I loved? Because the left ruined it. So what will I do? I'll have the left ruin the state I'm moving to. That is their thinking.
Now, you're involved with a new project called Safe Spaces.
No Safe Spaces. No Safe Spaces, a movie that Adam Carolla and I are making. That'll be out later this year. A feature film, which is both funny and frightening. I think that's a good way of putting it. It's funny and frightening. It shows what is happening largely on campuses to free speech. And it is also a full-length film. It's not just a documentary. And it packs a wallop. If your listeners... Adam Carolla is the most downloaded podcast in the world, according to Guinness Book of World Records, and especially young people, because he's unbelievably insightful and unbelievably funny. We're a very good team, and we went to campuses all over this country, and what people will see will jolt them.
They need to be jolted. You said there's no knockout punch for a liberal. Explain that.
No knockout punch for a leftist. I have hope for liberals. No, a leftist is not evidence-based. A leftist is emotion-based. So evidence and reason will not jolt a leftist. Evidence and reason can jolt a liberal, can jolt a conservative, but not a leftist. That's true belief. That's the reason. It doesn't come from the part of the mind that says, gee, what will really help people? Everybody knows socialism doesn't help people. Socialism takes the money that capitalism created. Socialism doesn't create wealth, only capitalism does. So to be pro-socialist is to be anti-people. But they don't care because it sounds good and because they are in love and intoxicated, in love with and intoxicated by the word equality, which is a very odd belief. I don't know why equality, except before the law and in God's eyes, that clearly, but otherwise, why is equality a goal? It's not my goal that a shortstop and a teacher make the same amount of money. It might be nice if they did, but it's not my goal. My goal is that a free society pays what people want to spend on. If a shortstop gets $10 million and a teacher gets $60,000, why is that wrong? Why should that system be destroyed? If you destroy it, if a teacher and a shortstop must make the same amount of money, that means you cannot allow people to freely spend money. And some people who think that they are better than you and me will determine where all the money goes. That's scary. That's communism.
Well, what's even scarier to me is my mother told me, honey, get over it. There's no such thing as fair. And this idea of equality is somehow hooked up with this, everything's got to be fair. Well, life isn't fair. That's what my mother told me. So now I'm wondering about families, if that's the philosophy that they're going by, equality and fairness, what happened to the family here?
Well, I'm going to come to the family in a second. I just want to say one more word about equality. The bloodiest century in human history was the 20th century, with all the communist genocides and the Nazi genocide of the Jews. Except for the Nazi genocide of the Jews and the mass murder of the Armenians by the Turks, 90% of the mass murder of people was done in the name of equality. College students are taught that more people were killed in the name of God than in the name of anything else. That's a lie. More people were killed in the name of equality than in the name of anything else. And it's inevitable. That's why one of the many reasons I fear the egalitarianism of the left. The family, as I said in my speech here at CPAC, the left has no interest in the family as it has been understood. In fact, if you even advocate the nuclear family, a father, mother, and children, you are considered a hater. This is new in human history, truly new. It's evil to say that the ideal is a mother and a father and children, a married mother, father, and children. That's the ideal. My wife was a single mother. She was terrific. But she doesn't deny for a minute the ideal is a mother and father and children. I am my wife and I are godparents to a gay couple's children. But they know that I believe the ideal is a mother and father. So it's not only not hatred, it has nothing to do with hatred. You don't love people if you don't believe there's an ideal way to make a family structure.
It really does call into question the whole idea of traditional family values, Americanism, patriotism. The left just doesn't seem to get any of that.
Oh, they get it. They want to get rid of it. Oh, they get it. Believe me, they get it, and they know that they are opposed to it. They don't like America. They don't like the family. Unless it's anything that anybody wants to call a family. Yep.
Well, you heard it. You heard it here first from Dennis Prager on Conservative Commando's radio show. If we're ever in question about what the left wants and doesn't want, there's no question anymore because we've got it from Dennis Prager. How can people follow you, Dennis? How can they see No Safe Spaces? Just tell us a little bit more about how our audience can be tuned up with Dennis Prager University.
All right, Prager University videos, 5 minutes each. We had 1 billion views last year. It is the largest non-left video maker on earth. And that's why YouTube is trying to shut us down. They put us on the restricted list. 80 of our 5-minute videos are lumped with pornography on Google YouTube. Things like Alan Dershowitz, a liberal Harvard law professor defending Israel's existence. It's on the hate watch list, if you will. It's very, very frightening stuff. But anyway, Prager University changes young people's minds. 65% of our 1 billion views are people under 35. Then there is my national radio show, which is all over the country. People can certainly listen to it, even if they don't have it in a local station on the internet. And I am particularly encouraging of 2 other things, that they see No Safe Spaces. Here is a chance not only to learn and laugh with a great film, but support conservative filmmaking. That's really important. And finally, my work on the Bible for people who don't believe and do believe, called The Rational Bible. read the reviews. All I ask people, read the reviews on Amazon to see how it has touched people's lives. The Rational Bible.
Thank you so much for being our guest here at Conservative Commandos Radio Show. We hope we can get you back again.
Thank you.
And we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio here at CPAC. You can listen to our radio stations all over the country. View us on AUN TV network in Northern California. And of course, you can always see us on Al Gore's amazing internet. We'll be right back after this.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. I'm your co-host, Sharron Angle, and I have my first guest here with me for this segment. We are coming to you from CPAC here in Washington, D.C. And my guest is my good friend Elie Pieprz, who is the Director of International Affairs for the Yesha Council. Now, I know what that is, Elie, but you tell our audience, what is the Yesha Council?
Well, thanks, Sharron. It's such a pleasure to see you again. The last time I saw you was in Israel. Looking forward to seeing you again in Israel sometime soon. But the Yesha Council is, in Israel, Israel tends to be a country that is very polarizing. There are people here at CPAC who absolutely love and adore Israel. And there are many people who are outside protesting CPAC, who absolutely hate Israel. And a lot of that hate, where does it come from? It comes from the lack of appreciation, of understanding of the Israelis who live in Judea and Samaria, who they are, and what they're about. What is Judea and Samaria? Judea and Samaria is the part of Israel that Israel liberated from Arab exclusive control in 1967. And the Yesha Council is an umbrella governing organization of all of the 22 Israeli mayors that govern in Judea and Samaria. Together, there are about almost 500,000 Israelis who live there, which from an American perspective is not a lot, but when the entire population of Israel is about 8 million, that's a significant percentage of the Israeli population. It's a growing population center. The people who live there tend to be people that you and I both know. Our good friend Grover Norquist of Americans for Tax Reform, the Leave Us Alone Coalition. The kinds of people who are very entrepreneurial, kind of people who are very faith-based, kind of people who want government to leave themselves alone. We can take care of ourselves. We can make life good. Just butt out a little bit. And right now, it is an area where many on the left say the Jews shouldn't be living there. The Jews should be kicked out, which is shocking that in 2019, we have people on the left who say they are for diversity, yet they feel that the obstacle to peace is the fact that there are 500,000 Israeli Jews living in Judea and Samaria, which happens to be the place where Jews got their name. Jews got the name from Judea. That's where we're from.
That's right. And there's some wonderful towns. I'm going to ask our audience to put on their Bible caps a little bit, because when we start talking about these towns, it just brings up stories that you learned in Sunday school and you went, oh, I know that place. So talk about some of the mayors, some of the towns that are there in Judea and Samaria.
Well, I think when we were together, I took you to a town called Shiloh.
Yes.
And it's such a popular place that actually in the United States there are more than a dozen different Shilohs, names of cities throughout Israel, throughout the U.S. that brings that connection to the ancient Jewish people who lived in Shiloh. Shiloh was the original capital in Israel. It was the first political and religious capital. It was Israel's capital, with the Jewish capital, for 369 years, just before Jerusalem was founded, and then Jerusalem became the capital. Just to put in perspective how long Shiloh was the capital, it was the religious and political center for the Jewish people. If you go from today back to pretty much the time of the pilgrims, that's a pretty large swath of time. It's pretty much the entire American experience. That was the history. That was the amount of time that Shiloh was the capital or the center. It's a place that Jews were kicked out of. And over the last few years, we've been able to come back. We've done archaeology, a tremendous amount of archaeology there, and we have uncovered basically a lot of our history. So Shiloh is a place. It's a place where Hannah first learned how to pray and taught people really how to pray to God. There's a place called Hebron. Again, Hebron also has dozens of Hebrons throughout the U.S., highlighting that connection between the U.S. and Israel and the recognition of the biblical roots, both of the U.S. as well as certainly the Jewish people in Israel. Hebron is a place where the forefathers and foremothers, the four parents, are all buried. Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and Jacob and Leah, all buried there. It's the place, it's the cradle of civilization. Why were they buried there? Because that's where they all lived. That's where the biblical stories took place. You also have, from Hebron, driving to Jerusalem, there is a road that we drive on, and it's called the Path of the Patriarchs. Why? Because that literally is the road that Abraham and Isaac took when they walked to the binding of Isaac. You literally can see where they went. So many stories, so many places. Every place you walk is another walking through the Bible.
Well, and I got to visit Bethel too, and Bethel has the fold in the earth. And I'm just going to leave it right there, because the next thing I want you to tell us about is why we can visit the West Bank, but we're not told that by guys that are doing tours. I found this to be just a really interesting fact about Israel, that we're told, well, it's just not safe for you over there in Judea and Samaria. After all, that's the West Bank.
There's a political agenda with everything. And as you know, so much of the political dialogue is not really about issues, it's about narratives. And you're on our side or you're against us. And there is a huge fear of getting to know facts and getting to know reality, because there is a sense by those on the left that in order for there to be peace between Israelis and the Palestinians, the Israelis need to leave Judea and Samaria. They need to leave the cradle of Jewish civilization. Why? Because at the core, there is a fear that anytime things that have a biblical concept start coming to life. Jews returning back to the land. Well, that was prophesied many times before. If that starts happening, all of a sudden it makes people on the left very uncomfortable. And we need to very much, they very much try to avoid that. And they try to say things like they have a narrative that we Jews are not connected to the land of Israel. And therefore we can't do archaeology. We can't see the history that's there. We can't even look at it as static, benign history. They have to say that we have taken over, we've done horrible things, and therefore we don't talk about history. The Jews who are in Judea and Samaria are doing horrible things to Palestinians. Nothing could be further from the truth. We're the ones who live there and to try to live there in a certain level of harmony and coexistence. It is, on our vision, is a future where Israelis and Palestinians are living side by side. The Palestinians have a vision where Israelis are kicked out and the place becomes Judenrein, Jew-free. So you think about that, you think about those two goals. Who is the ones who want to create tensions, want to create violence, want to make the other one uneasy? The ones who don't want to live with us side by side. The ones who do want to live side by side. We have no interest in creating more tension. We want to live together nicely and comfortably. And hopefully that will happen. Hopefully the truth will prevail. But at this point, we're in the middle of the fight.
Well, and I just want to kind of close our interview today with the thought that it's safe. I was perfectly safe there and saw some the most wonderful things there, because I've been to Israel 3 times and I'd never seen these things. Also, there's a wonderful way you can go for about half the price, and that's if you want to work in the vineyards and in the olive orchards there in Israel and help Israel replant the land, bring back the land.
You know, it's so funny when people talk about how scared they are and violence. I've got 3 daughters who I raised there. My daughters are not running around armed. They're not scared. You know, they have their normal lives. They go to the mall and they have normal lives. So I think there is this perception, which is so different than reality. And when you have, as you are talking about, a wonderful organization called Hayovel, an organization, a Christian ministry that brings Christians to come to Israel to have an experience working the land, working the fields, while reading biblical verses that speak to Christians coming back to the land of Israel and working the fields. There's something just absolutely magical, transformative, that I hope all of your listeners at some point will have the opportunity to do so.
Well, I can't wait to go again, Elie. And I want you to tell our listeners how we can follow you, get in contact with you, know more about Israel, really learn about the land from the land's perspective, not from politics of the world.
Well, the best way to be in touch with me, I would say, is follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is EIE-Pieprz. Tough one, but once you get it, you'll appreciate it. Unfortunately, our website is in Hebrew, so unless you are Hebrew fluent, wouldn't do you much good. But I'd also suggest the organization Hayovel, and I believe their website is www.hayovel, HAYOVEL.org. So
thank you so much for being our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show, Elie Pieprz. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Great to see you. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us here at CPAC and Conservative Commandos, a radio show. I'm Sharron Angle, and we'll be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome everybody, and welcome fellow patriots, welcome fellow deplorables, welcome fellow rock dwellers, welcome fellow dregs to society, welcome to your home, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And Sharron, you know, I have for quite some time talked on the Conservative Commandos radio show about what I believe the perils of marijuana is. I actually believe it was a gateway drug for two of my nieces who died way younger than what they should have because of drug addiction. And as I mentioned here on the show before, I actually think it all started with just a little bit of pot, and what can that hurt you? And I think that we're going to have an expert with us, and I'll ask you to introduce him to talk about some of the untold truths about marijuana. Sharron, please introduce our guest.
It's an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, who is a Canadian medical doctor. He pursued a bachelor's degree in biology in Pittsburgh and then went to Canada, where he completed his medical degree at the University of Sherbrooke. He is a consultant in outpatient clinic in the emergency department. Dr. Kanamugire is a leading physician and author of a book, The 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. Dr. Kanamugire, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Great to be with you.
Well, it's really an honor to have you here to talk about this, because I live in a state where we not only have legal medical marijuana, but we now have legal recreational marijuana, and no one wants to talk about the truths that you have put in your book. So I want to go through some of these things. Tell us a little bit about why you even wrote a book like this, and then let's talk about the truth.
Yes. You know, being a physician and a consultant in the ER and in outpatient clinics, I get a lot of questions from mothers and fathers and parents and teachers, and sometimes from young people trying to understand, you know, what is cannabis? What does it really do to your brain? Can it interfere with the development of the brain? Can it lead to psychosis or other problems that they heard about? So out of care, out of passion and a desire to really share with my fellow citizen, I wrote this book to try to answer to those questions to the general public. So I put it in very simple terms that anyone can understand, and it's very easy and concise, so that whoever takes the book can read it fast and easily. So it was really, the purpose is to answer the questions of the people. So it's a book that came from people, from people's questions.
Now, marijuana is classified by the Federal Drug Administration as a Schedule I drug, which puts it on a par with heroin and LSD. Why would we think it's harmless?
That is a very good question, because a lot of people genuinely believe that cannabis is harmless. And I understand, when you hear a lot of people, on in the popular culture, they minimize the effects of cannabis or marijuana, and a lot of people really believe this is a harmless substance, and it's not. I understand people can be for whatever they want, but it is important to state the facts, especially when you're in a position of leadership. If you're a leader or a politician, I think you have a responsibility to state the facts, and then, you can be for whatever you want, but please do not minimize the facts that cannabis is not harmless, because it can be dangerous, especially for those who are vulnerable to psychosis, for example, or depression, or anxiety, or addiction. So these are the things I discuss in my book, and I really emphasize, and I would like to send a message out there, especially to leaders, that please do not minimize the impacts of marijuana.
Well, and we're going to help you do that right now, because I think that one of the things that has happened here is that everyone is kind of hushed it up. They don't want to talk about what you talk about in your book. So let's go through those 21 things that people should be aware of, the facts about marijuana.
One of the things I think is important to know is one of the myths actually is that cannabis is not addictive. A lot of people say, no, there's no addiction linked to it. While the majority of cannabis users might not slide into addiction, we need to say that 10% of cannabis users will slide into addiction. And when we talk about teenagers, for example, this risk almost doubles. It increases to 17%. That means one teenager out of 6 will slide into addiction. And when you start your teenage life as addicted to any substance, it's not a very good start in life, because you run the risk to fall into addiction to other substances later in life, and you're increasing the risk of other mental illness as well. So it is very important to point out this fact. And when you use cannabis every day, the risk of falling into addiction increases to between 25 to 50%. So it's even higher if you are a regular daily user of cannabis. One other thing I really am passionate about pointing out is the fact that cannabis can interfere with the developing brain. If you are under 25, your brain is still developing, because the brain develops from the back to the front, and the front parts of your brain develop later in life. So when you're under 25, it will interfere. It might interfere with the development of a specific part of your brain called prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain that is right here in front of your eyes, and this is the captain of your brain. This is the pilot of your brain. It's the part of the brain that is involved in decision making, focus, concentration. and anticipation. So when you interfere with this part of the development of the brain, you can have long-lasting consequences, because this is the part that is involved in what we call executive functions. And these are the functions that you need as an adult. So it is very important. And if you're under 25, I do not advise anyone to use cannabis, but if you're under 25, please stay away. Or if you can forever, just wait for now.
Well, I'm looking at these 21, and I'm just going to go quickly through some of them. Please, I want you to tell us how your book elaborates on some of these. One, it causes psychosis or schizophrenia. It can cause suicide, causes car accidents, cognitive dysfunction, pulmonary damage, blood vessel damage. It affects the sex life in males. It affects pregnancies and breastfeeding. It causes lung cancer. It causes depression and anxiety. It is far more addictive than alcohol. It can directly kill a person. It causes anti-motivational syndrome. And I've seen that in my own family, anti-motivational syndrome. And today's marijuana is more potent than in the past. It can cause liver disease. It affects your brain volume, can cause MS, multiple sclerosis. It's as dangerous as LSD or heroin, and it's the leading cause of secondhand smoke. We even have some billboards here in Nevada that say, "Do you mind your secondhand smoke? Others might." So, I mean, they're now trying to bring us up to date a little bit on the health causes. But talk to us about how your book is almost a must-have for anybody that lives in a place where marijuana is legal.
Yeah, this is what I say. If you for cannabis legalization, you need to read my book. If you are against cannabis legalization, you need to read my book. If you are a cannabis user, you need to read my book, because this is a book, from a medical perspective. I'm just stating the facts that cannabis, for example, can be associated with psychosis. This is uncontested in medical society. All the medical associations, I agree on that. And I don't know any politician or leader who will dare to say that cannabis is not associated with cannabis. Even those who are for cannabis legalization agree that this is a fact. But the problem is, do we talk about this? Do we talk about this enough? Especially to our young teenagers and young adults who run the increased risk of falling into psychosis. For heavy cannabis users, the risk of falling into psychosis is 2 to 5 times higher compared to the general population. So this is not a benign thing, and this is something you'll find in all medical literature around the world. And when you're younger, again, the risk is even higher. For example, depression. Those, especially teenagers and young adults who use regularly cannabis, are 2 to 4 times more likely to experience depressive symptoms sometime in their life. So it is important to state these facts. And I really feel like it's a disservice to the population not to state the facts, because you can have a kid somewhere, in your neighborhood or in your family who might interpret the legalization or the minimization of this substance as a green light to take the substance. And if this kid has an underlying vulnerability to fall into psychosis, and you just trigger that psychosis, you just change the course of his life. So it is important you can be, as I say, to politicians and whatever activists, You can be for whatever you want, but just state the facts. Tell people that, yes, this can cause psychosis, but if you want to take it, you take it, but know that it can lead to psychosis. It can increase depression by 2 to 4-fold. It can increase the risk of anxiety for those, because it's all about anatomy, and the brain, because cannabis is going to act on receptors in your brain. And some of those receptors, as I said, are found in prefrontal cortex, which explains why, you might have problem with cognitive functioning, with decision making, or with attention focus. But other receptors are found on amygdala, for example. This is the center, the area in your brain that is responsible.
Doctor, I'm sorry to break in, but we do need to take a break. We're up against a hard break. Our guest this segment is Dr. Antoine Kanamugire. He's a Canadian medical doctor. He has also written a book I think that everyone should read, especially if it is a parent, especially if you are a lawmaker, the 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. Doctor, could you hold on for just a few seconds while we pay some bills? I want to pick up this conversation right after this break. Can you stay with us?
With a pleasure, sir.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be right back to pick up our conversation with our guest.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest this segment is Dr. Antoine Kanamugire. He is a Canadian medical doctor, and he is the author of a book, The 21 Outspoken Truths About Marijuana. Doctor, you have that book. I want you to hold it up so our audience can see exactly what we're talking about. And, you know, we've asked Dr. Kanamugire to join us because this seems to be the new popular thing that's going on in politics. And I think that the doctor has some great information in his press release about his book. He writes, polls show that nearly 70% of Democrats favor legalizing marijuana, and that political consultants claim it is impossible to win the Democratic presidential nomination without supporting legalization. And advocates of legalization claim marijuana is no worse than alcohol. Legalizing it will lower crime, and it will also be a source of tax revenue. Doctor, want to bring you back in. I've made this claim here on Conservative Commandos. For every dollar they're going to bring in taxes, I think society is going to spend $10. For every dollar they bring in taxes, they're going to bring in $10 to heal the people, to heal the problems, to heal the families. And you can't put a dollar value on this, doctor. These are my two nieces, Chrissy and Kathy. Couple of young people who I love dearly, who I changed their diapers when they were infants. The only children I ever changed their diapers. Chrissy and Kathy, when they got in high school, tried to get into the in crowd, and that in crowd was using a little bit of pot. And what can a little bit of pot hurt? Well, doctor, I contend that this little bit of pot was a gateway drug that led my nieces down the path of hard drug addiction, which led to their deaths. My one niece, Kathy, she left 2 small children. My other niece, Chrissy, she died of drug addiction. So did her son. He died of drug addiction also at 30 years old. Doctor, what kind of price can my family put on losing our family members because of drug addiction, which, in my opinion, just started with a little bit of pot? And now you're telling us that a Democrat politician cannot be elected president unless they support this. Unless they support this. This is a very emotional subject for me, doctor.
I understand.
Have you ever been asked by any politician in Canada or in the United States to come and testify before Congress or legislature in Canada talking about the real cost of a little bit of pot?
Yeah, first I would like to mention that it's very unfortunate what happened to your family, and I'm very sorry about this. It's unfortunately something that we see regularly. Either in ER, a lot of people have never met, someone like this 19-year-old bright young man that I met in the ER, with his mom and dad and girlfriend and sister and aunt and grandma, everybody panicking because they didn't know what was going on. The kid was a 93 average student in high school, started college, 92 in everything. Second semester, everything drops to 50%. And they couldn't understand. They thought it was depression or something else. We evaluated everything. There was no depression. But this kid, the only thing that changed in his life between the first and the second semester, he started using cannabis. Nothing else changed. And he started experiencing what we call anti-motivational syndrome or amotivational syndrome. And it was a tragic for the whole family. So a lot of people never really met this 21-year-old kid.
But doctor, has anybody from either the Canadian Parliament or the U.S. Congress ever contacted you to come and inform them what they're doing to our loved ones, to our family, our community. Has anyone from Congress or Parliament reached out to you, a doctor and author, to talk about what this is causing?
Not yet. Not yet, and I'm looking forward to that, because I think a lot of people need to be educated on this substance.
Yeah, let's start with the politicians. That 70% of them want to legalize this crap. That 70% of Democrats don't think they can get elected unless they legalize this crap. I mean, you want to talk about let's starting to educate. Yes, let's educate the students. Let's educate the parents. But Congress needs to be educated. Parliament needs to be educated. People like Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey and the government of Nevada, they need to be educated. The governor of California, every governor needs to be educated as far as what they are doing to our society.
Yeah, I understand your frustration, and it's absolutely necessary to educate our leaders, because the trivialization of the substance as it's getting legalized, it's a common thing that we see in societies that are looking forward to this. And when people start talking about legalization and a trivialization of the substance, you may find this 19-year-old girl, college girl, who is excited, about this legalization without knowing exactly that this same substance she is excited about will interfere with her developing brain and will probably trigger psychosis or depression. So it is important, I think. I really plead to these leaders to just share the facts. Again, I'm not a political expert. I'm not a legal expert.
And I would like to ask what can be done, because so many of us are experiencing this with our young people now. Is there any way to get them to just come in and listen? They don't want to listen about it. You tell them it's harmful, and they say, "Oh no, it's legal."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the problem. And one of the things I think is to first understand exactly what we're talking about. And my book does that part. So you really understand the facts. And I have scientific literature quoted in the book. So you know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I think there's a lawsuit here in the making, really, against people that have legalized this and said it isn't harmful.
Wow, that's a great.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Yeah, I'll be glad to discuss that point.
Good,
well, Doctor.
Good.
Yeah.
Doctor, we'll have you back on. Doctor, we got to run, but I want to thank you so much for joining us here in Conservative Commandos.
Yeah.
Please tell our audience. Please hold that book again. I want everybody to get this book, the 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, I want to thank you so much. Again, please spell your name. I know I'm emotional here. I'm butchering it. Tell our audience how they can get your book and follow the work that you do.
Yes, you can get my book on Amazon. You can get the book through my website, drantoine.org. Antoine is Antoine. Doctor is Drantoine.org. You can get it in your local bookstores. And if they don't have it, they will order it for you. You can visit my page as well. I respond to questions. My page is Dr. Antoine Because We Care. That's my Facebook page.
And well, Doctor, I think this is the first time of many that you're going to be on with us. If I had the power, what I would love to do, I would love to set up a debate with you and every governor who wants to legalize this poison in their state. I really would. Wouldn't you, Sharron?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'll be glad to be there and to discuss the facts and especially how they should carry the message, because it can be harmful just the way they carry the message, if they trivialized or minimized the effects.
Doctor, we got to run. Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Conservative Commandos. Take care. God bless. God bless you for what you're doing.
Thanks a lot.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Good morning, I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that this was an act of terror.
These protests were in reaction to the video.
Over an awful internet video.
It began spontaneously in Benghazi as a violent protest sparked by this hateful video.
So you don't regard it as an act of terrorism?
I don't think we know enough.
In reaction to the video,
You had a video that was released.
we saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. This video. To this video, the video.
I would say yes. They were killed in the course of a terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack.
Witnesses tell CBS News that there was never an anti-American protest outside of the consulate. Instead, they say it came under planned attack.
We devastated al-Qaeda's leadership. We have dealt al-Qaeda a huge blow. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and today al-Qaeda is on its heels.
If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
They haven't told me anything. They're still studying it. And the things that they are telling me are just outright lies.
When it comes to our national security, I mean what I say.
I think this is, Sean, one of the worst cover-ups probably in the history of the Republic.
And once again, thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. Yes, that's Sharron Angle. And once again, for rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show there, a lot of terrific articles, and a lot of great information. And with that, Sharron, we do have our next guest with us. The honor of the introduction is yours.
It is an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to introduce Major General Paul Vallely, West Point graduate, founder of Stand Up America, and former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations under President Reagan, and retired as Deputy Commanding General for the U.S. Army Pacific. Now he's a guest military analyst for TV and radio and the co-author of the book Endgame, the Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. Major General Paul Vallely, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you. I just have one correction. It's Vallely.
Vallely, okay. Vallely.
Those L's in there get very confusing, Sharron, so I can understand. Even my best friend sometimes mispronounce it.
Well, I'll put some accent marks on there. Vallely. Okay.
Vallely.
Well, General Vallely, you have an update on Benghazi. We haven't heard about Benghazi for years. In fact, I almost feel like we have to give a history course before we can even talk about Benghazi, because the mainstream media does not want to talk about that. I feel like there is a conspiracy, at least some corruption surrounding that whole affair, and yet no one seems to have any real appetite, I guess, for discussing Benghazi anymore. So tell us about Benghazi, and then we're excited to hear what the update is.
Well, you know, the final truth has never come out on Benghazi. As you may remember, during the congressional hearings, Trey Gowdy headed those hearings up. And at that time, Admiral Lyons and I had formed the Citizens Commission on Benghazi to assist in the investigations to get to the truth. And during that period of time, we had the likes of Hillary Clinton, Leon Panetta, as well as General Dempsey, who is chairman of the Joint Chiefs, testifying. And so all the information we received about that 13 hours where we lost 4 great Americans at that compound in Benghazi, the questions came up during the hearings that Trey Gowdy held, and we found that Hillary, General Dempsey, and Leon Panetta both lied. All 3 of them lied, excuse me. They lied in two different areas. One, they said basically that the intelligence wasn't enough, that they could depend on mounting a rescue operation, or words to that degree. The other thing was that there weren't any assets in the Mediterranean area of Army, Navy, Marines, Special Ops, Air Force, etc., to launch an immediate rescue operation. So there you have that 13 hours that all that went on, and we never sent one thing but a drone overhead. So we lost 4 Americans. Well, it all died out because Trey Gowdy, we gave him everything, and if I can relate it to football, he got it to the 10-yard line, but never went in the goal, crossed the goal. With everything we gave him, it just dropped out of sight. And every once in a while it surfaces. Well, Charles Woods, a good friend of mine, who was father of Tyrone Woods, who perished as one of the 4 during that 13 hours, we found out that the State Department issued a stand-down order in the second hour of the 13 hours, the second hour, that they weren't going to even attempt a rescue operation. So Charles Woods called me several months ago, and he said, we have new information from 3 or 4 people who were on duty that night that were monitoring the assets in the Mediterranean and monitoring the activity that was going on when the attack occurred in that first hour in Benghazi. So I've interviewed all of these individuals, and it's really quite interesting what they had to reveal to me. My mission now is to get this information to President Trump, because with everything that's going on in the FBI, the CIA, what's going on in the what we call the deep state now, reflects back to really what happened in Benghazi and why we never started that rescue operation when we had assets in the area. So that's the prelude to it. I can continue on with maybe a question you may have.
Sure, I would like you to continue on, because this has baffled me from the beginning. And I've seen the film anyway. There is a movie out, a portrayal of what happened there at Benghazi. And we heard the stand down order in the movie. They actually went ahead and published those stand down orders, and of course the valiant men that were there, they could not leave anyone behind. That's just part of the code, and they couldn't stand down. They had to perform some kind of rescue efforts themselves. And so I would like you to just continue on with, that the left would like us to believe that there was no conspiracy, there was no lying, there was no cowardice on the part of those that were in charge. And that I don't know how else to say this, but
hey, Sharon, Sharon, I hate to interrupt, but you know what else there wasn't during those hours? There was no Barack Obama. Even Panetta and even Dempsey said they could not find Barack Obama from 5:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 at night. General, is that true? Do you know if that's true?
Yes, that is true. And then that's when the State Department took over the situation there, which should have been a Department of Defense operation for the rescue operation, because State Department doesn't do those kinds of things. But Hillary took over. And in that second hour of the 13, that's when the word came down. Now, one individual, I'm not going to give their names today, but I've given you their names in a report that I think I sent to you earlier. And I would like you to have those 3 individuals come on your next radio show, because what they have to tell will reinforce what they have told me, of which I publish now. And I'm working on getting all this information out. And particularly, it's got to arrive in the White House so Trump can take action on this. But one of the individuals who was on duty that night was at Ramstein Air Force Base, which is in Germany. And Ramstein, their command and control center, they watch everything that's going on in Europe and the Middle East. They have these big TV monitors. You've seen what command and control headquarters looks like. So they're sitting there watching what started this whole Benghazi attack. So you have another individual who is at Central Command headquarters in Tampa, Florida, at the air base there. And so he's watching the same thing from the United States, because Central Command is in charge of the Middle East. We have a 4-star general always. It's the command of the Central Command. And their responsibility is the Middle East. So you have one in Germany watching. You have another in Tampa, Florida watching this monitors, watching the attack as best they could. The gentleman that you'll interview that was in Tampa at Central Command was told in the second hour to back down. Let's get off the Benghazi situation. We're running a command post exercise. And if you know what that is in the military, that's basically a planning episode where you set up a scenario and you run that exercise. And so he was told to back down by one of the officers in the chain of command, don't follow Benghazi anymore. Ramstein, basically, when the stand-down order came, the same thing happened in Ramstein. And so we never launched any kind of information, even though that information was readily available to those who wanted to see real-time occurrences there in Libya. So we had C-130s spinning up, ready to go. We had a rescue operation team in Djibouti. We had Marines on one of our fleets in the Middle East. We had special ops and air and Sigonella in Spain. The at that time, I don't know whether the F-15s or F-16s, I can't remember exactly, that were spinning up, could have been on target within an hour and a half. On target within an hour and a half. And I've had this verified by Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, whose last assignment was Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force, who's flown many combat missions. So if they were given the word to launch, they could have launched those attack jets over Benghazi to give air support to that compound where we had a number of Americans working there, including CIA. And you remember in the movie, the CIA agent in charge in Benghazi is the one that held them back from even going to the annex over to the compound where Ambassador Stevens was. So as you see how it all comes together now, and that's why Panetta, Dempsey, and Hillary Clinton, again, they've got to be held accountable for the lives of 4 Americans, because I can tell you if the special ops got in there, the air with our helicopters, fleet forces of the Marines that are part of the Mediterranean fleet over there, the 7th Fleet, they could have in fact been on the support side of things between the second hour and the 4th hour. But that thing, you remember, went on for 13 hours.
Well, those are brave men. They fought and they fought, and we watched it. The answer, of course, the question that I want answered is why? Why would they lie? Why did they cover it up? Why wouldn't they help?
Well, we have the answer to that also, Sharon. It involves an arms deal gone bad. And you remember there was a shipment of arms that went out of Libya up to Turkey and into Syria, basically to support the resistance movements there and some Al-Qaeda groups in that area, as has been investigated and reported.
Did you say support Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, those arms were up, and some of those arms from Libya actually ended up in Syria with Al-Qaeda, yes.
Are they?
So
I'm sorry,
Sharon. Back, basically. And also we had man pads, we had, where the missiles that you can do from basically a holding position, you take down an aircraft, surface-to-air missile. You've seen pictures of them. And so there were a lot of them that were missing, but Mark Turry is a guy that you should interview on that, because he was the one that was in charge, basically, of the arms deal there that went bad. And again, ordered by the State Department. What's the State Department doing in the arms business? That's a Defense Department activity. Figure that out. So all of these things, when you put them together, this was a massive cover-up, and it was done by, again, primarily those in charge, from the White House, the Secretary of State, to Panetta at that time, who's I believe was Secretary of Defense after the CIA, and General Dempsey was Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, 4 of the most senior people that could have launched that rescue operation. Whether it was going to be successful or not, you don't know that, but you can't leave our men behind. We have to go and at least attempt a rescue operation, especially when we have that time factor of almost 13 hours when we could have done it.
We need to go to a break. We are talking with Major General Paul Vallely about Benghazi. And the only thing that comes to my mind is treason. Treason. None dare call this treason, but that's all that comes to my mind. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. And I hope that our president is watching this segment with Major General Vallely. And we'll be right back after this break with Rick Trader, my co-host, and I'm Sharron Angle.
Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection.
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Everybody, this is Jack Silva.
Jack.
We train SEALs at Coronado, so he knows the drill.
Welcome to Club Med.
We need immediate assistance. We are overrun. State's under attack. Let's go, man. State's under attack. Let's go. We gotta move. If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
You have a U.S. ambassador at risk.
The ambassador is in his safe haven. You're not the first responders. You're the last resort. You will wait.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
Called fire support. Never came.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're in my world now.
We have 36 American lives to save.
Good morning, I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that this was an act of terror.
These protests were in reaction to the video.
Over an awful internet video.
It began spontaneously in Benghazi as a violent protest sparked by this hateful video.
So you don't regard it as an act of terrorism?
I don't think we know enough.
In reaction to the video,
You had a video that was released.
we saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. This video. So this video, the video.
I would say yes. They were killed in the course of a terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack.
Witnesses tell CBS News that there was never an anti-American protest outside of the consulate. Instead, they say it came under planned attack.
We've devastated al-Qaeda's leadership. We have dealt al-Qaeda a huge blow. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and today al-Qaeda is on its heels.
If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
They haven't told me anything. They're still studying it. And the things that they are telling me are just outright lies.
But when it comes to our national security, I mean what I say.
I think this is, Sean, one of the worst cover-ups probably in the history of the Republic.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give one more shout out because we appreciate these folks. The folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C. Wouldn't it be nice if we knew President Trump was listening? Our guest this segment is General Paul Vallely. He is the founder of Stand Up for America. General Vallely, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Well, it's my pleasure to be with you. And our foundation is standupamericaus.org. They can go on that website and they can see all the archived articles and investigations, everything we've done. So it's standupamericaus.org. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right. Thank you, General, for that. You know, we've been talking with you. We've talked with General Admiral Lyons. We've talked to Roger Aronoff, all part of the Citizens Commission on Benghazi. And we're it's amazing to me, General. We're still getting information about it, about Dempsey, about Panetta, about Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. But I got to ask you this question. Has the public fallen asleep on this? Have they forgotten all about Benghazi? Are they thinking, wow, that was another administration, that was years ago. Why should people care now?
Well, the people would care. The people who went to sleep on the switch were in Congress and in the White House. How many opportunities have there been to bring this to service and find these individuals who are actually on duty during that period of time? No one took that action. We tried to get General Ham, who was in charge at that time, to come on and share the stand-down order that he got. We couldn't get him to do it. And there's a 2-star admiral that needs to be brought into the whole thing. I've got to get this phone here. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right. It's live radio. It happens.
My command and control center here. I can't control it all.
Well, this isn't Fox. You know, this is real and live as it gets. So we don't mind that. But you can continue.
So anyhow, they went to sleep on the switch. Trey Gowdy went to sleep. What happened to getting to the goal line and making sure that people were held accountable? And if that happens, the media loses interest, and therefore no reporting is going on. Mm-hmm. We all got very frustrated. As a matter of fact, Charles Woods, again, father of Ty Woods, he's been so frustrated by this whole thing, knowing full fact that we had people that were going to come forth. But there again, there's not been any more hearings. These young people that I've interviewed and have brought forth now, who will talk on the air, by the way, have what happened during that period of time. So they all dropped the ball. But we got to reserve because we have to hold these people accountable, just like in the Russian collusion myth and all of that that's going on that we've seen in the last few years.
I agree with that. And General, I just want to clarify. I know you and Sharron talked about, but I just need to clarify. We could have had assets there within an hour and a half to 2 hours, definitely within 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
What difference would it have? I'll use one of Hillary Clinton's lines. What difference would it have made?
Well, if you picture the compound and you figure the forces that were outside the compound, you figure the convoys that are coming into that area, with the look down, see down capability we have with our drones and with our satellites and overhead type of capability, we could be tracking where every person, every car is moving in and around that compound. Now, with laser capability, laser targeted capability, our drones could have taken out almost all those people around the compound, in addition to the fighter jets who could deliver some of the ammunitions. Very precise weapon systems. We could have had special forces brought in on the ground to do a ground operation and raid against the those that were attacking, and they were in the hundreds, by the way. And so that operation has been practiced and contingency plans for years. If any of our embassies get attacked, what are we going to do about it? You can remember the failed raid under Carter in Tehran. So those kinds of things are practiced, they're rehearsed. We have assets that are chosen to do those things, the Special Forces, the Delta, Navy SEALs, you've got your fighter jets, you've got your helicopter pilots. All those were in the Mediterranean area at that time. And so generals and admirals doing their job could have launched that operation in the second hour, or maybe in the first hour, if there was action taken. So,
I have to ask, why did they want the ambassador dead? That's all this looks like, is they were just withdrawing from him. They wanted him dead. Why?
well, again, it goes back to the arms deal. He was there really to negotiate something on that, and it was a cover-up. It's not that they didn't want Ambassador to be saved initially. They just wanted to make sure that the cover-up was intact. And I think, Sharon, that's the reason they issued the stand-down order. It was a cover-up.
Incredible. The arms deal, as you were saying, that was a function of the State Department, correct? Did I understand that?
Yeah, Mark Turi, T-U-R-I, you need to get him on the program. He was in charge of it. He's a really good guy, and he's been harassed for years because of what he's known. And he's testified in front of some of the committees in Congress.
And I only want to emphasize that because the Secretary of State during that time was who? General Vallely? Who was the Secretary?
Hillary. I think her name was Hillary.
I'm telling you, there is so much garbage around those two people, Hillary and Bill Clinton. I mean, it would take an army of sanitary engineers to clean up the garbage around them. General Vallely, we've got to leave. We want to thank you so much for joining us here. Please tell us how they could find out more information about this and also more information about Stand Up America.
Okay, two things. Again, the email that you can reach us on is standupamerica.usa1@gmail.com. The website is standupamericaus.org. So you can email us. We'll send you information, or you go on the website and go what information you can. There's 250,000 hits on Google. So if you want to go Google everything, it's on Google. It's all out there. The fact is, the people in Washington, D.C. didn't take it and cross the goal line. And I hold Trey Gowdy partially responsible for not pushing that forward. But, of course, a lot of others there were holding him back. So there was some politics being played, we know, at that time between the White House, Obama administration, and Congress. So just shows what corruption we've had and developed.
That's really disappointing because I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm sorry because I really, really, really like Trey Gowdy. General, again, we got to go, but we want to thank you so much for joining us. And one more time, give out that website address.
standupamericaus.org.
General Paul Vallely, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. More importantly, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Rick.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharron and I will be back with more right after this break.
We want to thank our guests. They make our show.
All right. But for right now, we got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.